In a supposedly divided country that we keep being told that we're in, if we go into the real world, I don't think we're as divided, but online we definitely are. But in a world that keeps telling us how divided we are, we need to start celebrating people like this. This guy we're about to talk about today is a true just hero when it comes to getting the people factual information, and we need to put him on more of a spotlight, as well as anybody else who's willing to talk about facts and bring the real actual studies and data to light, and so the average person can really see it for themselves and not get gaslit by the media all the time. But Roland Fryer is probably my favorite intellectual right now, just based on he's a cool person to listen to. He's not like one of those academia people that just speaks with such a high vocabulary to where it's hard to follow him. He's very intelligent, but he knows how to talk to the average person at the same time. And he did a whole bunch of studies on police brutality, and he came up with some data that kind of surprised them. And we're about to get into really seeing how all this stuff kind of played out for him, and how Harvard demonized him and kicked him out of Harvard and then ended up welcoming him back. All right, but we're going to get into it, guys. Welcome to Getting to the Facts. Thanks for hanging out with me today on Wednesday. Hope your week's going decent so far. We still got halfway to go, so no matter if it's good or bad, we still got halfway of this to keep it going. All right, guys. But let's get right into it. Make sure we smash that like button. Subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. All right, I really appreciate it, guys. But we're going to get into this first article here, and we're actually going to look at his Wikipedia so we can really understand what this guy's about. All right. Roland Gerhard Fryer Jr. is an American economist and professor at Harvard University. Following a difficult childhood, Fryer earned an athletic scholarship to the University of Texas at Arlington, but once there chose to concentrate instead on academics. Graduating cum laude in 2.5 years, he went on to receive a PhD in economics from Pennsylvania State University in 2002 and completed postdoctoral work at the University of Chicago with Gary Becker. He joined the faculty of Harvard University and rapidly rose through the academic ranks. In 2007, at age 30, he became the second youngest professor and the youngest African American ever to be awarded tenure at Harvard. He has received numerous awards, including a MacArthur Fellowship in 2011 and the John Bates Clark Medal in 2015. Fryer began his research career studying social image and segregation, and then moved toward empirical issues, particularly those concerning race and ethnicity. His work on the racial achievement gap in the U.S. led to a stint as chief equality officer for New York City under Mayor Michael Bloomberg, in which role Fryer implemented a pilot program rewarding low-income students with money for earning high test scores. That's a great incentive. I love it. In 2019, he published an analysis arguing that Black and Hispanic Americans were no more likely than white Americans to be shot by police in a given interaction with police. In 2019, a series of investigations at Harvard determined that Fryer had engaged in unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature against at least 5 women, that he had fostered a hostile work environment in his lab, and also cited unspecified conduct violations regarding Fryer's grant spending and lab finances. As a result, Harvard suspended Fryer without pay for 2 years, closed his lab, and barred him from teaching or supervising students. In 2021, Harvard allowed Fryer to return to teaching and research, although he remained barred from supervising graduate students for at least another 2 years. Fryer apologized for the insensitive and inappropriate comments that led to my suspension, saying that he didn't appreciate the inherent power dynamics in my interactions, which led me to act in ways that I now realize were deeply inappropriate for someone in my position. Still, guys, I don't... Sexual harassment? Are you kidding me? For some joking text messages. I'm telling you, if they went through all guys' text messages, I mean, we're making jokes all the time. I mean, unless he's being super vulgar, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But obviously, nothing was that crazy, because they would have never brought him back to Harvard in the first place if it was actually something substantive. So it's such an abuse of power by Harvard. It's such an abuse of power. And I just absolutely hate that. And which is another reason why I could never be a police officer. I could never be a teacher or anything like that, because the power dynamic, the control that they try to have over the teachers and the professors and the police officers, I just, as an individual, I just can't stand that. You know what I mean? But I'm glad he got back in. I mean, it's just crazy. But we're gonna go in here, guys. Now that we kind of had an overview of what this guy's about, okay, we're gonna go. He did this whole hour and a half long talk with, and it was the Free Press put it out on YouTube, and he did this about 2 days ago with Barry Weiss. Okay, but this is a 2 minute and 54 second clip detailing about that report that he let out in 2019, showing that there's really not a disparity between black people getting shot by cops than white people. And actually, there's more white people that get shot by cops than black people. So let's listen to this and really hear what he has to say about it, guys, because it was super interesting when I took a look at it. So let's see what we got.
I collected a lot of data. We collected millions of observations on everyday use of force that wasn't lethal. We collected thousands of observations on lethal force. And it was in this moment in 2016 that I realized people lose their minds when they don't like the result. And so what my paper showed, you'll see tomorrow, like some of you, was that, yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force, every day pushing up against cars and things like that. People seem to like that result. But we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year. When I found this surprising result, I hired 8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure.
Yep.
They came up with the same exact answer, and I thought it was robust. And I went to go give it, and my God, all hell broke loose. It was a 104-page, dense academic economics paper with a 150-page appendix, okay? It was posted for 4 minutes when I got my first email. This is full of shit. Doesn't make any sense. And I wrote back, how'd you read it that fast? That's amazing. You are a genius. And I had colleagues take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's wrong with it? Do you believe the first part? Yes. Do you believe the second part? Well, the issue is they just don't fit together. We like the first one, but you should publish the second one another time. I said, let me ask this. If the second part about the police shootings, this is a literal conversation. I said to them, if the second part showed bias, do you think I should publish it then? And they said, yeah, then it would make sense. And I said, I guarantee you I'll publish it. We'll see what happens. So it was, I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for it because, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. It was really, truly crazy.
I mean, guys, that is just absolutely insane. I mean, to think about an academic who not only before publishing anything, he redid the study with a fresh set of interns or RAs or whatever the hell they're called. Like, he was like, okay, hold on, just to make sure that there's no bias between the people helping me, get the data collected, I'm gonna hire brand new people. Guys, the data speaks for itself. And to think that he needed to have armed security for a long time, that's a long time, guys, just because he was able to publish the truth. People are willing to go after him for that. for telling the truth just because it doesn't fit the narrative, that shows you there are people in very high places and even in low places that are just a part of this cult that just wants racial division and just wants it to be a part of everyday Americans' lives. And don't ever forget that this is the most racist country in the world, even though it's not. There's more people in slavery now around the world than any other time in and not just U.S. history, in world history. We have more people in modern slavery than any other time, and the United States doesn't have it. Okay, so come on, guys, come on. But it's just so crazy to me, and I'm so glad that this guy, and excuse my language here, but I'm glad that this guy had the balls to be able to stand up for what he knows was the correct data, not cherry picking one thing. Because he could have easily, after getting all the data, he could have easily just posted the one about, the soft stuff about the police, about pushing them up against cars and against, of course, those numbers looked a lot better with what he said, right? They like that number. They like that. But when it showed that the police don't actually kill black people as much as white people, they're like, nah, don't post that. You're going to ruin your career. Imagine having some good news. That's good news, guys. That goes against the media narrative that only black people are dying by cops. Like, why is this being suppressed? This is what drives me insane. I can find great people and shitty people in every race. It's not about the race. And the average person in the world understands this. The average person out there gets it. At least in the United States, I know this because that's the country I know. All right. But on social media, they're making it seem like we are just so divided, and it's so far away from the truth, guys. And we need to come together on facts. We need to really get to the facts on absolutely everything, because facts speak for themselves. The truth will always set you free. I mean, don't let me get in my TD Jakes moments, okay? But I'm telling you guys, the truth will always set you free. And they're trying to threaten this guy so much to not put that data out there. So congrats to him. And that is another reason why he's one of my favorite academia people out there right now. And he's a cool guy to listen to. Obviously, he's got a cool way of talking. He knows how to talk to people. I absolutely love that. But just to keep going into this a little bit more, guys, to look at the data, okay? This is from Statista.com, okay? Number of people shot to death by the police in the United States from 2017 to 2024. 2024 just started, so 17, 18, 19, 20, that's about 8 years. We're going on 9, okay? So 8 years. We have had, at the very most, in a given year since 2017, 1,160 total people that have gotten shot to death by a cop, okay, according to this data. Out of 330 million people, a little over 1,100 in a full year, knowing there's gang violence, and those are included with these numbers, knowing all of this stuff, that is a very, very small number, guys, for how big of a country we are, okay? And then, let's read this down here, because so far in 2024, only 71, which 71 is still a lot. I'm not saying anything. We got to look at the large numbers, guys. Okay. Crime's going to happen. People die by lightning strikes every once in a while. Okay. So it's just crazy when you think about it that way. But according to this, sadly, the trend of fatal police shootings in the United States seems to only be increasing, with a total 71 civilians having been shot, 6 of whom were black as of January 25th, 2024. Hold up the phone real quick, guys. Okay. Out of the 71, we only got 6 that were black. So let's just do a quick math. That is 8.4%. 8.4% of the people this year, at least, that have died by a cop shooting them. It's been 8.4%. I just don't understand it, guys. I just don't understand it. And then if we look at the bigger numbers too, right? Let's go to 2023. Okay. We had 1160 total, right? And that mark 224. Oh my God. Okay. So 224. Even with the bigger number, 224 out of the total 1160 for 1 year in 2023. That is 19%. That is not even 25% of the total amount of deaths by cop. Like, I mean, just look at it, guys. Just look at these numbers. There's more white people in 2023. 412 white people compared to 224 black people died by a cop. 225 to 389. 233 to 446. 243 to 459. 251 to 424. I mean, guys, it's over 200 more than black people anyway. So it's just, that is what drives me insane about this narrative that the media keeps trying to push. And it drives me absolutely nuts. It drives me absolutely nuts, guys. But, and again, I mean, based on the population too, black population as of 2022 is 14.4%, 47.9 million people who self-identified as black. So out of almost 48 million people, guys, 48 million people, and only 200 to 224 a year are dying by a cop, and a lot of those are gang related. A lot of those are gang related. Just think about it. Only 224 died by a cop like that, fatally died by a cop. And we have cities like New York City. We have Chicago. We got Philadelphia. We got Los Angeles. I mean, like, it's Baltimore. It's almost surprising that we've kept it that low. Like, that's actually a low number. Knowing the amount of people that we have, knowing that we have at least 5 crime-ridden big cities with tons of people in them, and we aren't even hitting 500 or 1,000 people dying by a cop. I mean, for just black people in general, I mean, that is such a low number, guys, and we really need to realize how low of a number that is. Because, like I said, facts speak for themselves. We get so emotional with this thing. Do I want anybody dying by a cop? No. But there's a lot of context in each individual encounter with a cop that these numbers, these statistics don't show you either. Okay? So it's just, guys, we got to come together. We got to stop being so emotional about it, because I don't want nobody to die. I don't want nobody to die. But it's a reality of the freaking world. And for us to have this low of a number with over 330 million people in the United States. Guys, I don't understand. Like, you're never going to get to zero. It's just like, you're never going to eliminate poverty. You're never going to eliminate homelessness. Okay? It's the same thing when it comes to crime. It's the same thing with bad interactions that end up happening where cops ended up killing people. Okay? But there's not a disparity that black people are just the only people getting killed by cops. It's actually white people that are getting killed by cops way more. And it makes sense because we are the bigger portion of the population. Makes complete sense, guys. Okay. So I hope you guys like the content today. It's just something that it's definitely factual information we need to start sticking to. All right. So I really hope you guys like the content. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed rest of your week. I hope all you guys have a good time and make stuff happen. And I'll see you on that next video, guys.